Yeah, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's good? It's November, man. Of course, we have, you know, one of the best months in boxing this year with the fights that we have lined up, the fights that have already taken place, and the fights that we got coming up, man. We got, you know, Stephen Fulton versus Brandon Figueroa. I'll definitely be talking about that fight here shortly. We have Fight of the Year candidate. I think this is really going to be the Fight of the Year. Terrence Bud Crawford versus Sean Porter. You know, and then, of course, going into December, some really good fights that we have lined up, man. But I really want to talk about Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter, the implications of that fight, and what that means for Errol Spence Jr. We know Errol Spence, he had the eye injury leading up like the 2 or 3 weeks within the date of the Manny Pacquiao fight. A huge bummer to all boxing fans, you know, but he's now back. He's fully healthy. He said himself in recent interviews that the eye is healed. He's good to go. And, you know, he's actually been training and been staying in shape. If you've seen him in recent videos, you could tell, you know, you look at his face, you could tell he's in really good shape. You know, he hadn't blown up crazy or anything like that. So that's great. I've been watching his Instagram page, been seeing that he's been in the gym, you know, every week putting in work, and that's dope. You know, so it's good to see him back working and staying in shape and doing his thing. I mean, even immediately after he had the eye surgery, he was outside walking and stuff because he was limited to as far as what type of activity that he could do. Even with it just being an eye, you know, I don't think he was able to run or anything like that, doctor's orders. So, you know, it's good to see him back, you know, getting back into the swing of things. And, you know, he recently said in an interview that I saw on ES News with Alex Sekback, where he's looking to return in February or March. So that's the time frame that he's looking to come back, which is great. Now, we all would have loved to see him unify with Yordenis Ugas, go ahead and get that fight scheduled and locked up, because, of course, we have Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter. Their fight is happening within next week. You know, so it would have been nice to have Spence and Ugas already locked up. That just cuts down the time frame or the obstacles to get to Undisputed. But of course, the WBA, man, they playing all type of, you know, games and all these different, putting all these different obstacles up and keeping the fans away from Undisputed, blocking Yordenis Ugas from being able to unify with Errol Spence. And, you know, Errol Spence, he came out and said that, you know, money talk and, you know, they could possibly get that fight done. But I haven't heard anything recently about the WBA changing their minds as far in regard to forcing Ugas to fight Stanionis in this 4-man tournament. Butiev just beat Jamal James, so he is lined up to fight the winner of Ugas and Stanionis. Hopefully all that shit could be sorted out, because I know that Ugas and the winner out of those 2 fights, they don't have to fight until 2022. So I believe that after Ugas does fight Stanionis, if he actually has to go through with that, I believe he will have a voluntary title defense in between that time, because I think by the end of 2022 he would have to settle the obligation. The winner out of that fight would have to fight Butiev, pretty much. So we'll see how that shit play out. But the point I'm getting at is that it doesn't look like Errol Spence is going to get an opportunity to fight Ugas right off the bat. So that only leaves us to one road. Errol Spence has said that he does not want a tune-up. He said that tune-ups are for guys who are unsure of themselves. He want to come back right off this injury and jump right into the fight. He was already scheduled and prepared and in great shape, excellent, tremendous shape, looking good, man. Errol Spence was looking as good as I ever seen him physically leading up to that Manny Pacquiao fight. And, you know, some of the clips and things that I've saw, within that training camp, man, it was very promising. You know, so I know the eye injury is a big deal. He says he's good. They caught it early, got it fixed immediately, and he's had the time to recover. And then he'll also have more time from now up until February, March when he actually does fight again. So all those things lead me to believe that he'll be, you know, in the best shape that he can be in to take on another fighter. Not just any fighter. I'm talking about a championship level, high level elite fighter, you know, somebody that like a big fight. And, you know, with all that being said, he's not looking to take a tune up. He feels like everything is good to go. I just saw him post a video with him at the Cleveland Clinic on his Instagram, where he was doing like some tests. You know, they had him on the bike with the oxygen mask and all the fucking tubes and shit hooked up to him, as far as, you know, just checking out all his different vitals and stuff like that. You know, so you know, it looks like everything is good and normal and things like that. So, you know, I have no reason to believe that he's not going to be able to take on the caliber of opponent like a Ugas or the winner out of Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter. All roads lead to the winner of this fight. Errol Spence does not have a dance partner. He's not looking to fight a tune-up. And there hasn't been any mandatories enforced from the IBF or the WBC. So the great thing for us boxing fans is that this Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter fight is happening next week. And we'll get a chance to see where Terrence Crawford stands at 147. Is he everything that we said he is? Is he everything that we believed him to be? We'll see where Sean Porter is at right now. Does he still have that dog and that energy left in the tank to be able to win on this level? Can he finally get over the hump and beat the elite of the elite? You know, he's had victories over Devin Alexander, got a victory over Danny Garcia. You dig what I'm saying? He got a victory over Yordenis Ugas. He got some key victories in his career, man. And a lot of people sleep on Sean Porter's resume when it comes to the guys that he's fought and beat, and just the guys that he's fought in general, whether he won or lost. Sean Porter has a phenomenal resume at the welterweight division. You know, so a lot of questions are going to be answered in this fight with Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter. But the key point of this video and the main thing that we're looking at here is we might be on the verge of that also coveted welterweight supremacy fight that we've been looking forward to all this time, man, with Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. We know Terrence Crawford, his contract is up with Top Rank after this fight. Now, you know, I have no reason to believe that he won't re-sign with Top Rank. He's done it before 2 times. He hasn't really come out and said anything to the effect of him not re-signing with Top Rank. So we'll see how that play out. But, you know, of course, Top Rank and PBC, they have done business before. We all know that Bob Arum is a huge obstacle when it comes to the financial side of making big fights, especially when it's not necessarily in his favor. You dig what I'm saying? So we'll see how that plays out, man. But I think that Terrence Crawford wants to fight with Errol Spence, and I know that Errol Spence wants to fight with Terrence Crawford. And if he cannot get Ugas next, the only fight that makes sense is the winner out of Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter. Now, let's not write off Sean Porter. He can go out there and he can get the victory over Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me if y'all can't hear me. It just started raining out here in Dallas, Texas. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that means I'm going to get some good sleep tonight. You dig? But, you know, Sean Porter, he could very well go out there and beat Terrence Crawford. So we might end up getting a rematch between Errol, the True Spence Jr., and Showtime Sean Porter. And that first fight that they had was a classic. I thought that was fight of the year in 2019. That was a hell of a fight. So I wouldn't mind how this shit, if this shit went either way, I wouldn't mind. I would love to see either fight. And if Sean Porter does win, I still want to see Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. It might end up happening at 154, but I still want to see that shit. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I don't really have a dog in a fight for that Terrence Crawford and Shawn Porter fight. I would be okay with either guy winning. You know, I'm rooting for both guys. I want to see both of them show me something. Like I said, there's questions that need to be answered in that fight. So I'm looking for things from Shawn Porter to see if he going to show me certain things. Can you finally get over the hump versus a guy of this caliber? Can you do some things differently? How do you prepare differently? How do you approach this fight to give yourself that extra bump? For Terrence Crawford, can you do the same things that you've been doing to everybody else to Shawn Porter? A guy who has never been stopped, a guy who is still vibrant and energetic and still has that belief that, hey, I belong on this level. I'm at the top. I'm one of the best, and I'm not going to go in there and fold. Can you take his heart like you took everybody else's heart? You dig what I'm saying? It's a whole lot of things that I'm looking for in this fight. So either guy wins, it doesn't matter. But Errol the True Spence Jr., all roads lead to the winner of that fight for Errol Spence. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do y'all think it's realistic for Errol Spence to go directly into the winner of that fight? Or are we going to get some type of, you know what I'm saying, flea flicker, some type of reverse wide receiver reverse pass or some bullshit that come out of nowhere where Errol got to fight a fucking mandatory or some shit, you know, or some whatever. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender regime boxing, I'll holler at y'all boys, man.